Hey, another movie for you guys. Now, this movie reviewing this movie that I definitely was very interested in seeing ever since the first trailer came out. It actually was supposed to come out last year, I remember, but for some reason it wasn't pushed back. It was pushed back till now, so I really didn't know. I've been interested in this movie for a long time now. But I really didn't know much going into it, and now I finally seen it. And that movie, of course, is A Cure for Wellness. Gore Verbinski's, big return, hopefully big return to horror. But let me explain, because I was very much looking forward to this movie. I really was, but so much so that unlike other films, I only watched the first trailer. I stayed away from any other sort of ads or the second trailer that came out because I wanted to go in this movie as blind as possible. And rarely do I do that. And I've been, a lot of people have very strongly advised me not to do that. I've been, I've definitely been looked down upon for that by many people, and yeah, it is a problem that I have. That's just something that I do. If something is accessible to me, most times I will view it. I will not just leave it go unnoticed. I will most times watch it, and it is a mistake on my part, but most times I do that. However, with A Cure for Wellness, I wanted to go into it as blindly unaware as possible, and going into that was absolutely the right decision, because if I had not done that, I don't think I would have liked Cure for Wellness as much as I did, because while I don't think A Cure for Wellness is a perfect movie by any means, A Cure for Wellness is still a very innovative, different film that just surprising to me how it actually was a mainstream movie, which I'll get into. But let's get to the plot of A Cure for Wellness, which this is a movie where if you have not seen anything beyond the first trailer, which I strongly advise you not to, please do not watch anything beyond the first trailer. Then, I need to keep this as simple as possible because it's a very layered story and I just don't want to spoil too much about the film. But the basic plot of this movie is we focus on this main character, Lockhart, who's played by Dane Dehaan, and he works in this government facility based. Well, actually, he's a businessman. He works in this office and everything. And basically, the head of the office he's the young executive. The young, the boss of the CEO, like the one who, helmed it all, he has just unexpectedly had a heart attack. We don't know exactly what happened, but the first scene in the movie, we see that happen. And basically, Lockhart is sent to retrieve the new company CEO, Mr. Pembroke, and basically get him to replace everyone. And Mr. Pembroke was residing at this really weird wellness center that Lockhart has to go and retrieve him from, but he soon learns that this wellness center is a lot more evil and mysterious than everyone thinks it is, and that basically is the plot of A Cure for Wellness overall. But let's get in this movie, starting off with the cast, which that was definitely one of the things that got me very interested in this movie. I thought the cast here looked really great. I thought we had a really great cast here and a very ambitious cast as well, because despite, three actors, the rest of the cast is very unknown. But let's first talk about Dane Dehaan as Lockhart, because I've always really liked Dane Dehaan. I think he's a fantastic actor. I think he's done some really great films. But he hasn't really done anything that great. Like, nothing where it's like, oh my god, Dane Dehaan is an amazing actor. Like, he's definitely done some things that I've really liked, i.e. Amazing Spider-Man 2. I actually did like his acting in that movie, or something like Knight of Cups, or even The Place Beyond the Pines. He was amazing in The Place Beyond the Pines. He hasn't had that one movie that was all his own and that he was able to really give an incredible performance. And I think the last time it happened was Chronicle. That was how we were introduced to Dane Dehaan, and he absolutely pulls it off in this film. I really loved him as his character of Lockhart, and I thought he did a really great job. Lockhart is essentially the everyman in this film. His first name is never revealed, which was an interesting choice, but yeah, he's only known as Lockhart in the film, and this character is very, very interesting. He has a past that kind of haunts him, especially something that goes on with his dad that I'm not going to indulge in this film. I'm not going to talk about, what exactly transpires with that, but basically there's something that happened with his dad that very much haunts him. He has a very haunting past because of it, and he eventually does become obsessed with this, wellness center. He wants to do what he can to figure out what this wellness center is all about. He knows that something very weird is going on, and the more the movie goes on, the more invested he becomes, in the film, and to see Dane DeHaan does a great job really portraying the wonder of it all, and just the sheer the sheer mysteriousness of it all. He really does not know what this means, and he's, intrigued by it. He really wants to know more what's going on here. He's so transfixed on this Spawn. He does a really great job of that. I really did love his character. Thought that he was fantastic in this movie, and he definitely did do a very good job. I definitely really did like him here. However, as good as Dane Dehaan is, I do think that the two stars of this film, without a doubt, are Jason Isaacs and Mia Goth. Particularly, Jason Isaacs is incredible in this movie. I mean, his character of Dr. Heinrich Volmar is so threatening, and one of, I think, the most menacing type villains we've seen in a very long time, just because we know zero to nothing about this character, but the second we meet him, we're so freaked out by him, and we don't know what is about him. But he has this really dark, just really dark presence to him, and this really very savage-like demeanor. We don't really know what he's all about, but he did such a great job with just portraying the sheer menace, and just the lengths of where he goes in this movie is insane. I can't believe Jason Isaacs agreed to do half of the shit that he does in this movie, but he was absolutely incredible. I really loved him here. He did a really great job portraying this character. They definitely did try to peel back the layers, and I think they did a good job of them. I definitely did like what he had to do here. And then Mia Goth as Hannah, I really did like her in this movie, and I was a bit worried about Mia Goth, because she's not a relatively known actress. She's only done about a couple films. She did Nymphomaniac Volume 2, but I heard she was only in a short part of that. She was in a movie called The Survivalist in like 2015 that I think no one's really seen, but hasn't done a ton of movies, and I heard a lot of her roles are relatively the same, but she was incredible in this movie. I love the character of Hannah. This is a character who is very innocent and very unaware of what's going on. She's very mysterious, and she seems to, she has all these, like, childlike tendencies, and we don't really know what's going on with her. But her and Lockhart do kind of start up this bond, and it was very interesting to see. I really love her. They took her throughout the film, and there is this one revelation with her that I absolutely loved. I loved where they went with her character. There was a huge twist with her that I did kind of see coming, but didn't really ruin my enjoying the film. I really liked her in this movie. I thought she overall did a very good job, and all the performances for the most part are really great here. I really think everyone really did a great job here. The acting is fantastic. There's really no one that I think was particularly terrible in this movie. So now let's get to the directing and the writing here, because the directing, of course, is by Gore Verbinski, and he hasn't done a movie like this in quite some time. He became so invested in the Pirate series, and that became just such a money monster. Like, there were just so many films of that, so much money poured into those films. Of course, he did Rango, and then his career really did hit a low after Lone Ranger, so he really has not done a movie since. And A Cure for Wellness, I don't know if this is his return, but he did a hell of a job directing this movie. I mean, his directing was really well done here. I really did love his directing here. Because this is a mystery film, and he does such a great job with that mystery aspect. It's a movie that you're constantly thinking about. You're constantly thinking about really where it's going to go, and he did a very good job with that. But I think he also did a great job with the horror aspect of it all, because this is very, very gothic horror, and I loved his directing. I thought he did a very good job with just the sheer madness of it all. I thought was very well done. I really did love his tone throughout the film. I took the movie seriously. I was invested with, what was going on at this, medical facility overall, and you don't really know what it's all about, and I think he did a very good job directing that. Now let's get to the screenplay, though, because here's where we get to some of my more problematic issues with the film, because I will say, in terms of mystery, I loved the mystery in this movie. I love the mysteriousness of the Cure for Wellness. I loved the way that was done. There are a bunch of motifs that this movie introduces in the beginning of the film, and I really like the use of that throughout it. I thought that was really well channeled, the way the movie did that. I thought they just had a really nice, they really did a great job with the symbolism of the film. The film really does do a very good job with the screenplay in that regard. I thought the introduction to the spa was also really well done. Just the sheer, just like I said, the mysteriousness of it all. We don't know what it's all about. It's very mysterious. It's very weird. There's a lot of weird stuff throughout the film, and the story in general is so compelling. I was very compelled by the story, and I really did love that. However, I'm not going to lie, there are quite a few things that happen in this movie that I really did not understand at all, and That's not saying that it's necessarily a terrible thing that I didn't understand them, but I do feel that there were definitely a few things that Gore Verbinski did in this movie that I think he just kind of put in there because he was happy with it, but he didn't really check the movie over. Like, some things this movie kind of felt like a first draft, I'm not gonna lie. There were definitely a few things in here, and it just didn't feel like they were finished. It felt like this was an idea that Gore Verbinski had, but it was simply just an idea. He didn't actually fulfill it. And I'll talk about that when we get to the spoilers and things that kind of bothered me with that. But it was very strange, and there were a few things in here that I really did not enjoy. I definitely did like that this movie really did go all out, because there are some very, very weird things in this film that honestly, it's mind-boggling to me how this is a wide release film. I can't believe Gore Verbinski was actually able to convince Fox to release this as a wide release. I mean, this is by far one of the most eccentric and different wide release films you will have seen in years. I have not seen a wide release film this weird in quite some time. And sure, there have been some indie films that are very strange, but nothing really like this. I mean, the only one I can really think of was Crimson Peak, but even that wasn't that strange. This is very strange. This does go in some very weird directions, and I really do commend the film for that. I like that Gore Verbinski did that. It was a very bold move on his part to go in these really weird directions with the film. Like I said, there's a motif with eels in this movie. There's a whole thing with water here. There's just a lot of mystery surrounding it, and it really does add to the intriguing nature of the film. I think they did a very good job with it. I really did love the story overall. I thought they definitely did a good job with the story. But in regards to our main character here, played by Dane Dehaan Lockhart, I thought he was fantastic in the film. Don't get me wrong. I loved Lockhart as a character. I love what we got with him. But I really felt they could have explored a few more aspects with his character. I really felt there were a couple things they talk about in the beginning of the film, and especially in the first, I'd say 20 minutes, there are quite a few flashbacks to this character's past, and they're very well done. I really did enjoy the flashbacks, but after a certain point, they just kind of stop, and I don't know why exactly they stop, because the directions they take him in is really good. I like the direction they took Lockhart in as a character. I just felt that they could have done a bit more regarding his past. I really wanted to know more about what he went through, especially with his father. There's a whole thing going on with his mother, we find out, and stuff with his job. I just wanted to know more about him, and I felt they could have done a little bit more with that, but they didn't, because a lot of it is surrounding the spa, and some of it makes a lot of sense, I will definitely say that, and some of it really doesn't. At the end of the movie, you're kind of left wondering, what does this really mean? Why were we introduced to this? And a movie, it's good that it does it. I like that he does open up a conversation. That's something I was very impressed with that Verbinski does here. He really does try to open up a conversation and really get you to think about this film, but there definitely are a few areas that I think he could have improved on. However, that is not, I have no errors with the cinematography in this one, because the cinematography is the best I have seen so far this year, without a doubt. I mean, he really went all out when it comes to the cinematography. First of all, I don't know if you guys know this, but the spa this movie takes place in, that is an actual place. This is not a set we're talking here. What this was actually a torture chamber for people in World War II in concentration camps, which is crazy to think about, but yeah, this was a concentration camp at some point. And then it was it was like this Russian experimental facility. I mean, it's been around for a very, very long time, and you can definitely tell. I mean, it doesn't look, you can't at all tell that it is old, because they did everything they could to refurbish it and make it look brand new, and it looks brand new. They did such a great job with the cinematography here. I love the look of the sets, and there's so many astounding shots in this film that I really did love. I thought the cinematography looked incredible. I thought they did an incredible job with it, and it really did add to my enjoyment of the film. Again, there's some very, very strange things that happened here, and I love what the film just went for. I love when a film pushes boundaries and just goes for it. They don't try to hold anything back, because there is nothing holding it back. It has that R rating. There's a reason why it's R, and I'm going to say that right now. There's a reason why the movies are. If you guys, are sensitive, don't watch this movie. It's that simple. It's a very, it's very gory. It's very graphic. His name's not Gore Verbinski for nothing. So I'd say, definitely try to see, definitely, just proceed with caution. If you're going to see it, definitely proceed with caution when it comes to the cinematography, because there's some stuff in here that was very gross, and that I did, in fact, wince a bit at. I'm not going to lie. There were some scenes I winced a bit at, and I wouldn't say I'm a softie when it comes to things, but especially with this movie, oh yeah, the things that are in here, yeah, definitely did affect me a bit. I will definitely say that. Two scenes in particular, if you guys want to know, I'll talk about them in the spoilers, but they definitely did affect me a bit. I thought the score here was fantastic. I love the score. It was very haunting. It was very, again, mysterious, and I really did love the score throughout this film. They did a very good job with it. I definitely, probably the best score I've heard this year by far. And then the runtime. The movie is 146 minutes, and a lot of people have been complaining that, oh, it's too long, it drags on, and it's just very repetitive, and I will admit there are a couple things that I think they could have trimmed down a bit. The movie didn't need to be 146 minutes long, but at the same time, I was never once bored with this film. I was invested the entire time. I watched the movie, and there wasn't a single time where, like, okay, I'm really starting to feel the length here. No, I was into it the whole time. I loved where it was going, and it's a film that's so intriguing, you really don't want it to end. I'm sure you guys have had the experience before, but for me, I didn't want this movie to end. I wanted to keep going and going so I could find out more and more, uncover more details about the spa, find out more about, these characters, find out more about what they're going through, what's going on with the water, what is the obsession with the eels, things like that. There's just so much stuff that I didn't care, the way the movie was done. I thought it was very well done with the ending. The only thing I will say is that I did feel that the last, 10 minutes of the film, it was a bit rushed. I definitely will say. I think they could have done a bit more with the last, 10 minutes of the film. It was a little bit rushed in that part, but other than that, I really did love the 146 minutes. I really did not think that it was too long. I thought the movie needed to be long. It's a very layered film, and it made sense why it was as long as it was. So for me, it really was not a problem. So now I really want to get into the spoilers, because with a film like this, it's really hard to talk about it without diving into some of the more, some of the more spoiler type stuff that happens in this film. So if you guys haven't seen Cure for Wellness, do not watch the rest of this review. I'm going to spoil pretty much the entire film. I'm going to talk about the problems I had, things like that. So let's just get into it. First of all, I really do want to talk, first of all, about the big twist regarding this film. I'm not gonna lie, I predicted, I'd say, not an hour in, maybe an hour and 30 minutes in, I had this revelation, with Hannah, and I saw her interact with Jason Isaacs, because up till then, I didn't know what was up with her. I thought that there was just something about her that I didn't know really what it was. But like I said, she does have a very childlike essence to her, and we don't really know what that's all about. But through her interactions with Dr. Vollmer, constantly throughout the film, it was kind of like, wouldn't it be cool if Hannah was Dr. Vollmer's daughter? I wasn't, I didn't think it was actually going to happen, but yeah, she actually is his daughter. And like I said, this wasn't something where I was upset that it happened. I like that they went this direction. I like that Hannah and Dr. Vollmer are father and daughter. I like that. I really do think that's a very well done twist, and the film had enough hints to really build it up very well. It wasn't something where it just kind of came out of nowhere. I hate twists that are like that. I like twists where you have stuff to build it up and it makes sense. There really is a lot of stuff that build up with Hannah and with Dr. Vollmer, and it makes sense why they went that direction they did with these two characters, and that really did make sense to me. And I really did like the reveal that she was his daughter. I thought that definitely was very well done. And I also did kind of predict that the Baron, that the daughter that, we heard about from the Baron that he threw out was in fact Hannah. I had that feeling it was going to be her. She was the only female character that had a lot of focus in this film. Victoria Watkins had some, but not really. So I was very happy that she ended up being the daughter. It wasn't something that really ruin the film. It didn't, make me feel like it went to a predictable direction, because it was predictable, but it was satisfyingly predictable, if that makes any sense. I think it was a satisfying way of, making sense what this character was going through, and that scene where she eventually does get her period is extremely well done. I love the way that scene was done, with her getting her period, and then realizing that she's impure now, and what I thought he was going to do, I thought that he was going to throw her in the water. I thought that the move is going to come full circle, where she was going to be thrown and fed to, the eels. I thought that's what was going to happen. But we eventually realized that Hannah is 200 years old because of this water. This water that essentially he has put in because, the eels, are in fact toxic. Yes, they are toxic, and they definitely, that's what's making everyone sick. But between the eels and then the human remains, he takes the human remains and he makes it into water, and that's what him and his daughter have been drinking, which is disgusting to think about. But I thought it was overall a well done twist, and I get what he was trying to do. The aspect of him raping Hannah, I thought was a bit gratuitous. I will say that. I think they really only did that to have a climax. But I did like Dr. Vollmer ending up being the Baron. I thought that was an incredibly well done reveal, and I knew something was up with him because there's a scene very early on in the film where he stops instigating a fight between, Lockhart and this member of the bar, and he breaks it up, and basically we see there's like blood on his forehead, and then he just wipes it off, but there's no like there's nothing that seems like there's no blood coming out. It's just on the tissue, so there's definitely something up with him. And I like the reveal it was just a mask, and he actually was very badly burnt up. And a lot of people have asked, how did it happen? I don't really think it matters. I don't really think it matters how Dr. Vollmer was burned. I think we just know that he was, in fact, he's been 200 years old. He's drank this water for a long time. But that also leads me into some of the more problematic issues with this film, especially when it comes to the water, because as we know, Dr. Vollmer has, taken this for a while, and you can definitely imagine that he probably was the same age he was, when the castle was first burned down, was, in 1904, or however long it was when it was first burned down. He probably is the same age that he was then. But that doesn't really make sense with Hannah as a character, because in order for that to be true, for him to live in 1904, Hannah would have to be a little girl. I mean, wouldn't it just make sense? He ripped the child from her. She'd still have to be a little girl. Why is she 20-something years old? I thought this is supposed to make you not age and live forever. I mean, that did not make sense to me. And why does Hannah not have that mask on her? That also I didn't understand. Why isn't she hiding her decaying skin? I didn't understand that with Hannah's character. Why is she completely unaffected by all this? Felt very weird to me. I get it that she is, supposed to be like a child, but that didn't really make a ton of sense, and I don't know why they decided to do that. I think Hannah, honestly, should have looked more decrepit. She should have looked more old. And when we got that reveal of Dr. Vollmer, I was waiting for something with Hannah where she has this revelation that, her pure and very young and youth type skin is just a mirage, and that she actually, it's actually not real. It's just this facade that he's planted on her, and that the skin isn't really real. I wanted something like that, and they didn't go in that direction with her. And it was kind of weird they didn't do that. I was really expecting something to happen there, but that just didn't happen. But that's not the thing that pissed me off the most. The thing that annoyed me the most here is, as you guys know, there is that scene where Lockhart tells everyone that, the water you're drinking isn't good. They go to basically attack him because they're all, like, hypnotized by not hypnotized, but they're under the illusion that this is going to help them, that this is going to get them better. Because, of course, Dr. Bollner is obsessed with the idea of the human condition, that because something isn't working, because everything's going right, a man suddenly thinks that he is not well, and that things are not going well for him, and that's the thing that Dr. Vollmer's trying to do. There really is no cure. He's just making them high so him and his daughter can continue to have water to consume, so that way they'll live forever and he can eventually rape her. That's at least what I got from him, which doesn't make a ton of sense, but, what made even less sense is when Lockhart is eventually fed those eels, and we see a scene with Hannah where she goes to him, and Lockhart is acting like every single other patient there. We even see he goes as far as to be in the tanks with all the shriveled up bodies, all those dead bodies that he has in those tanks. He's in there, and then there's the part where he is, participating in the different in the various, copious activities that the other members are. So why is Lockhart later, when it's revealed that Hannah, he's going to rape her, and that's actually revealed that Dr. Vollmer is the Baron, why is he acting like his old self again? It felt very strange to me that the film made a choice to make him like the other members, and then completely detracted from that, and he was back to normal. That didn't make sense to me at all. But the same could be said for Pembroke. Why are they completely unaffected by what's going on? They didn't give an explanation for that. It made no sense to me whatsoever. And if that wasn't there, I probably wouldn't have had as many issues as I did, because I really did enjoy the film overall, I want to say that. But that particular thing just felt very strange. Now, I did like the overall ending. I love the ending of Mia and Lockhart, Lockhart getting, not Mia, I mean, her name is, Hannah and Lockhart I love the ending of Lockhart running into all his old coworkers and them trying to take him back, but him wanting to abandon that because now he has fought the society. He has finally fought the enemy. He's taken down the man that has commanded all them all. You know, he finally wants to break that cycle. So he's going to go with Hannah. Who knows where they're going to go? I thought he smiled because somehow he has his teeth back again. That didn't make sense. How the hell did he get his teeth back? I don't understand that at all. I don't know if he stopped drinking the water at the right time, but that was very strange to me how that happened. I didn't really understand that very well. I get it that obviously they treat him like a regular patient, but he was experiencing all the same other side effects that the other patients were. So why didn't the movie just end with Lockhart essentially just becoming the one to start? I thought the movie was going to end one of two ways. I thought either Lockhart was going to get away and he was going to leave with Hannah, or he was going to basically essentially become susceptible to all the same things that the other patients were, and he was going to be the one to start it up again. Like, he was going to build the new castle. That's what I thought was really going to happen. But it didn't end like that. It ended with him instead, you know, leaving, and I was fine with the overall end. I just didn't really understand the ending of him, you know, being completely unaffected by what happened. That really did not make much sense to me. Overall, the ending was good. I thought they did a good job with the ending. I thought the mystery with the eels and things like that, they did a really good job with the water and the mystery. I thought that all was very well handled. It's just those little things did in fact enjoy my overall enjoyment of the film, because I came out of it and I was very satisfied. But then when I really began to dissect certain aspects, I just thought, no, that did not click right. No, this does not make sense. It does not mean the film's bad. I just feel there are a couple things that are very open-ended, and I think should have been not as open-ended. I mean, again, that's kind of a big deal when in one scene he seems completely he's completely affected by what's going on. He's acting like the other patients, and in the next scene he's completely fine. It just feels very off. It feels like something shouldn't be that way. It just felt very strange to me overall. It was a weird choice, but other than that, I definitely did enjoy the film, and I definitely am interested in seeing, you know, if that does, you know, change on, you know, several other viewings, because I definitely am going to have to see this movie definitely more than just once. So overall, guys, I really did enjoy Cure for Wellness. I think it's a very well done, mysterious film that, again, baffles me how it was actually able to be a wide release. There are a couple things that are very unknown to me that I don't fully understand and I don't fully have the best grasp on. But I think, again, Gore Verbinski, you know, he wants us to think about that. He wants us to have that he wants us to sit down and have a conversation and really think about that kind of stuff. But overall, guys, other than that, I really did love A Cure for Wellness. I think it's one of the most wholly original and different films to come out in some time. And I am overall going to give A Cure for Wellness for its originality and just for its brilliance in terms of where it ends up going and the layers that he really went with this film, and just how Gore Verbinski was able to make the film exactly as he wanted to be, a 4 out of 5 or a B+. So far, guys, I'm going to review Cure for Wellness. Let me know what you guys thought of this movie overall. Left your thoughts in it. Let me know what you guys thought of this movie. I'd love to hear what you thought of the spoilers and things, especially when it comes to those things that I'm very, very confused by. Just that stuff did not make sense to me, and it definitely was sort of a problem, and it did affect my overall enjoyment of the film. I was ready to give it an A-. I really was, but after thinking about those things, I had to deduct my grade a bit. But that's my review. Hope you guys enjoy it. We'll see you guys in my next video, which will be for the Vampire Diaries. I know I am very behind with the Vampire Diaries, but I am going to catch up. I promise you guys I will. I will review 4 episodes, and I will review last week's episode in a separate video, and I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.